We are in our final week of Psalm 23. This psalm, which was probably written later in David's life, is a psalm about how David sees life. Matter of fact, it's probably more about how David has lived life, because he's lived it under the watchful care of the great shepherd. And he shares with us that the shepherd meets his needs. He gives him direction and purpose in life. And it gives him the courage and the confidence to face any kind of hardship that comes along. And also, it fills his life with abundance. And so we come to the final verse in Psalm 23. And David ends the psalm with a note of triumph. Let's take a look at it. He says in verse 6, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." In this last verse, David emphasizes the hope and the well-being that God promises to his people. So the Bible teaches us that even though there are problems in this world, that there are struggles that we all must endure, God is in control. And he takes care of his people. And we have every reason to feel good about the future. Not because you are in control, and not because the right political party is in control. It's because God is in control. And even though you pass through the valley of the shadow of death, you don't have to fear any evil. You need to not fear the future because God is in control. And since God is in control, we have hope. We have hope for today. We have hope for tomorrow. We have hope for our relationships and our families. We have hope for our jobs. We have hope for happiness and hope for usefulness in this life. And our needs are being met. We have hope for our lives making a difference. And hope to be spending eternity with God in heaven. Have you seen the movie, The Shawshank Redemption? I really enjoy that movie. I like it. And if you've never seen it, just look on one of the 500 channels you have. It's always playing and you can find it somewhere. But the movie is narrated by Morgan Freeman. And he plays a character who's been locked up in Shawshank prison for all of his adult life. And in the movie, there's a line where he's talking about hope. And this is the line. He says, "Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. It's got no use on the inside." You know, there are some people who feel that way about the outside. Have you heard this phrase? Don't get your hopes up. Don't expect too much. Life is just one disappointment after another, and you might as well get used to it. Well, that's how some people feel. And sadly, some of those people call themselves Bible-believing Christians. Except there's one part of the Bible that they haven't yet assimilated into their way of thinking. Hope is a good thing. It is a great thing. And it's okay to feel good about your life and your future because God is in control. Do you know what? I'm convinced that the more you walk with Jesus, the more that you get into his word, the more your outlook on life is defined by hope. There's an old show tune from a Broadway musical. The Broadway musical is South Pacific, and there's a song called Cockeyed Optimist. And here's the line out of it. It says, "I'm stuck like a dope with a thing called hope, and I can't get it out of my heart." That's what happens when people live their lives under the care of the great shepherd. They come inescapably hopeful, just like David. You know, though he endured a lot, he had a lot of heartbreak. There was a lot of tragedy and failure in his life. He is still able to say, "Surely goodness and mercy follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Today, I want to look at what it means to have hope. Paul said that there's three things that remain: faith, hope, and love. Now, we know we're supposed to live our lives, live lives of love. We know that we're supposed to live lives of faith. But have you ever thought about it this way? We're supposed to live lives of hope. And so we know that we're supposed to live these lives like this. And so how do we live a life of hope? Well, I want to look at just a few things out of this and what it means to have hope. The first thing is that you can live a life of certainty. Now, here in Psalm 23, I shared with you in the first week, there's about 120 words. And because there's so few words here, I believe that every word is important. And here in verse 6, we find a word that I believe is extremely important. It's the word surely. Now, when I listen to this, and I say surely, it always makes me think of the movie Airplane. And in it, one of the characters says to Leslie Nielsen in the movie, he says, "Surely you can't be serious." And Leslie Nielsen says, "Yes, I'm very serious, and quit calling me Shirley." And I think of that every time.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
But here we have the word that is so vital, surely. It's not maybe, not perhaps, not conceivably or possibly or probably. He says, surely, it's certainly, goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. This same idea is expressed over in the New Testament when Paul says in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, "And we know this: in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." You know what he's saying? He's saying surely. He's saying we can live with a sense of expectation because God is in control. He is at work in your life. It's not a question if God will get you through this. It's how he's going to get you through this. It's not a question of that he'll bring blessing into your life. It's how is he going to bring blessing into your life. It's not a question if God was going to work things out. It's how things are going to work out. And as one of God's people, you can say, surely. You can live a life of certainty. Secondly, you can live life with a sense of optimism. David here says, goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. Goodness and mercy are coming my way, he says. So what's coming your way? Irritations, disappointments, sickness, poverty, problems? Or can you say, blessings are coming my way, opportunities are coming my way, victory is coming my way, power is coming my way, or strong relationships are coming my way? Psalm 23, it reminds us that it's okay to be optimistic. So David first says that goodness will follow me. And we see this in a couple of different ways. First of all, we see this that we can expect good things because God is in control. Now, sometimes our goodness and his goodness might look differently, but we can expect good things to happen. We can expect blessings from time to time. And even when we experience tough times, we can expect good to come out of it. But the second aspect of this is the sense in which goodness is coming our way. It is that we are becoming good. When we are following the shepherd, our lives change and we're becoming holy. After Paul said all these things that they'll work out together for good, he said that we're being conformed into the image of God's Son. It also says in the book of Philippians that he who began a good work in you will carry it out to completion. And so as you walk with the shepherd and you put yourself in his care, He not only gives you the blessings of good things, but also the blessing of becoming good. So David also says, then mercy will follow me. This is important because we all need mercy. Every one of us. You know, sheep have this tendency to kind of wander off. We've looked at that several times. And so do we. We have this tendency. We're prone to leave the God we love. And that's why Isaiah wrote in Isaiah 53:6, we all like sheep have gone astray. We've turned every one to his own way. And it is why God also said through Isaiah in chapter 60, verse 10, I will now have mercy on you through my grace. We need his mercy. We need it again and again and again. And when we need it, it's always there. That's why the writer of Hebrews in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16 says, let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Living with hope means that we have a sense of optimism. Optimism about ourselves, about life, about the future. And it also means that he is helping us. He's helping us to become good. And he gives us so much mercy. The mercy that we need for our journey. So much mercy that it follows us everywhere we go. Which leads us to the third thing that we find here about living with hope. And that is, you can live with a sense of favor. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. David is saying it's like this kind of metaphor again. It's like having a shadow. And that shadow is the blessings of God. Where you go, that shadow goes. He will follow you all the days of your life. That means that when you go to work, you can be sure that God is with you. When you spend time with your family, he's following you. When you reach out and help those who are in need, God is there. When you give, his favor is following you. You know, as the people of Israel were preparing to enter the promised land, God said in Deuteronomy 11, he said, wherever you set your foot, the land will be yours. Your frontiers will stretch from the wilderness in the south to Lebanon in the north, and from the Euphrates River in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you. This is the favor of God. I will bless you. I'll give you victory, and nothing can stand in your way. Now listen, I'm not talking about an arrogant sense of entitlement here. You know, God doesn't have to give you favor because he loves you more than he loves somebody else. No, he gives you favor because you've chosen to love him more than anybody else. He gives you favor because you've named him as your shepherd and you are one of his sheep. You belong to him, so his favor rests upon you all the days of your life, all the days of eternity, because you will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You know what? Many people have interpreted this ending here to be heaven. And it does mean heaven in a sense, but it's so much more than that. Start living in the house of the Lord today. You can live today in the favor as a chosen child and a favor that never ends. You could dwell in the house of the Lord right now. You know, I've been using this word hope throughout this message, and hope can be defined in the word expectation. We can live in expectation of a good life and a good future and a blessed eternity because we have a loving and gentle shepherd who watches over us with tender care. And so if you're not a part of the household of God, we would love to share with you the message and the journey to start that walk with the shepherd who loves you very, very much. And today I want to invite you, if you would just text the word peace to the phone number that's listed here, we'll get in touch with you and we'll help you in this journey to a relationship with the Good Shepherd. Because there is nothing more important, than the Lord to be your shepherd. There was a Sunday school teacher who had decided to have her class memorize the 23rd Psalm. And she told the kids that they needed to memorize it this week and that next Sunday that they would be sharing the 23rd Psalm, each of them individually, in front of the whole congregation. And so everybody was doing it, but there was one little boy named Bobby, and he was struggling with it. And so the time came, the next Sunday, everybody was there. The church was packed, with parents and grandparents because the kids were going to be sharing the 23rd Psalm. And some kids got up there, and it come time for Bobby to share this passage. And so he was shaking. He got up there, he was sweating, and he just was nervous. His knees were going, and he simply got up and he said this: "The Lord is my shepherd, and that's all I need to know." Really, that's all you need. The Lord is my shepherd. Now every week I've been given some homework, and here at the end, it's not going to be any different. I have some homework and a couple of reflection questions that I want to share with you. Last week I asked you to make a list of those things in our lives which where our cup overflows, and I hope you did that. So this week I want to ask you to do the following two things. First of all, guess what? Memorize verse 6. And when you get that, you should have the entire thing. Also, I want to ask you, number 2, to write down 3, just 3, good and merciful things that have followed you. You know, I could set that number 5, 10, and we could write a lot of things, but just 3 things of goodness and mercy that have followed you. Maybe it's an unexpected blessing. Maybe it's an experienced victory in your life that in your past has defeated you. Maybe you fell down and God picked you back up before it was too late. So think of 3 good and merciful things and just make a list. The book of Isaiah says in Isaiah 40:11, he shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arms and carry them in his bosom, and he shall gently lead those that are with young. Now I hope that what you've got from this series is that our Lord is not a drill sergeant or a tyrant or a taskmaster. He is a shepherd, and that you are his sheep. And if you put your trust in his care, your life will be blessed beyond words. Let me give you a couple of reflection questions if you're meeting with a group or you've got your family there, or if you're just doing some journaling or contemplating. First of all, what is the first good and merciful thing that you would put on your list? What's followed you all the days of your life? And then the second question is this: over the past 6 weeks, how has the study here of Psalm 23 impacted you? I hope you have a great and blessed week. And I'm so grateful that we could all meet here together in this form, and that you will be blessed beyond measure.